Welcome to the community conversation. This is a hujjat initiative. In these regular conversations with individuals, we will explore their struggle, achievement, courage, and disappointment that shaped and guided their faith, family, and community. Today we have Siddiqa Juma with us, who has joined us to have a community conversation and share her life journey and experiences. Welcome, Siddiqa bhai.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Siddiqa was born in Zanzibar. Her parents originally come from Zanzibar. Her father is a very well-known personality, Murtaza Bandali. We know him as Muallim Murtaza Bandali, and mother Amina Bandali. Guided by the Qur'an and Islamic tradition, Siddiqa creates art that celebrates a rich religious and cultural heritage. Throughout her life, she has been seeking some form of expression for her faith. Starting her career in graphic design, she has gone on to write, illustrate, and produce Islamic children's book and produce a slate of animated series that teach a particular Muslim morality. It is in painting, however, where Siddiqa has found the conduit for her devotion. What is interesting is that it is not just the content and subject matter of Siddiqa's work that reveals her beliefs, but the processes by which her work is created have as much to tell. This is borne out in her work, which is characterized by vivid color, which are seen in successive layers with intricate, repetitive patterns and calligraphy. This work of hers expresses the ancient illuminated Qur'an, which can be seen in museums around the world. Her paintings expresses her unending eagerness to engage with the faith with which she grew up. This comes out vividly as she painstakingly covers her painting with God's name as her personal tasbih or incantation. Creating these pieces is an act of devotion in itself, a stand-in for meditation in which each occurrence of a word is like a small offering to God. What she says in her bio is put it beautifully by herself, and that is, the development of my faith is also evident in the development of my work. In time, her style of artistry evolved, and she found herself fixated on Hajj, the pilgrimage that every Muslim endeavours to perform at least once in their lifetime. Here she communicates not the experiences of pilgrimage or the process of performing the Hajj, but a yearning to embark on that journey with all the elements on every canvas, gravitating irresistibly towards the holy city, Mecca. This desire has given her work a new focus, one that not only moves her away from imitation of classic Islamic art and towards a more personal style, but one which communicates all at once the nearness and the distance between Siddiqa and her faith. Siddiqa is married to Mustafa Juma. They have 4 children, Zainab, Asiyah, Zahra, and Aamina. Welcome, Siddiqa, to the community conversation.
Thank you very much.
Now, thank you for accepting our invitation to have a community conversation. This is an impressive contribution, and I've taken time to actually give it to our audience so that they understand the value of what you are doing. Now, before I go into the heart of the conversation, I also want to say to the audience the accolades that you have received. Let me name them, if you don't mind, because I think that these are very interesting accolades that you have received. In 2015, she received People's Art Prize, Make Your Mark. She received that in London. In 2017, she received 2 accolades. A Muslim Lifestyle Show Award for Best Islamic Artist in London, and then the Global Art Award, Best Painting which was in the theme diversity in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. In 2018, again, she received 2 awards, mashallah. Leonardo da Vinci Universal Artist Award in Florence, Italy, and then Al Najm Award for services to Islamic arts and publishing. This is again received in London. And in 2019, she received Muslim News Alhambra Award for excellence in the arts. We'll cover why you received this and what topics they were. But I want to begin. You were born in Zanzibar.
I was.
Yes.
I was actually in Pemba, which is just.
All
when
right.
When we say Pemba, not many people know where Pemba is, but obviously in our community we do. Yeah.
Right.
So
you were raised in Pemba, or then in it's called Unguja. So what is Unguja then?
Unguja, yeah. So Zanzibar.
Yeah.
I think I was there about 3 to 4 years. We then moved to Dar es Salaam.
Right.
Where we lived until I was 13 before we moved to the UK.
So you had your primary education mainly in Dar es Salaam?
In Dar es Salaam, in Dar es Salaam. And then when I was 13, nearly 14, we moved to the UK.
Right.
Yeah.
So you still remember your identity as a Zanzibarian? Or?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you call yourself Zanzibarian or Tanzanian then?
Oh, definitely Zanzibarian. Definitely Zanzibarian.
This is something that you see this in the DNA of people who are born in Zanzibar. So. They call themselves, we are Jangwari or Zanzibarians.
Yes.
I'm proud of it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now then you, your time in Zanzibar, you obviously feel passionate about this?
You know, the funny thing is, moved out of Zanzibar when I was very, very young, so just 3 or 4. So I don't vividly recall my time in Zanzibar, but I think there's some. I think even from my parents, from my father, you know, it's like Unguja is the place.
Yes, I know. I've interviewed him.
Exactly, exactly. So I think just obviously we have a deep connection with Zanzibar, especially because my father, my grandfather, they were such huge personalities. That's right. In Zanzibar.
Very huge, very huge.
Even my grandfather.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And both of them actually played a huge role in the religious life of our community.
Indeed.
And of course, I think your grandfather was in the employ of the Sultan, I think.
Muallim Murtaza Bandali
right.
was a big personality, an
very
amazing
big
human being. Yeah.
Did you meet him in any way?
I did.
You did?
I did.
What was it like?
He.
Oh, you must have been very young at the time.
No, I think I was about 8 or 9 when he passed away. But
so
we lived together.
Okay.
So I do recall. You know, he was in the house all the time. I have memories of him sitting on a certain chair,
right,
and reciting Qur'an all of the time.
Okay.
So that my memories of him have always been of him being a very kindly and deeply spiritual person.
And the Quran, it was the book that was very much read in your household?
Yes, yes, very much so.
So then you came out of Dar es Salaam, you came to United Kingdom.
Yeah.
When was that?
1977.
All right. And you pursued your secondary education whereabouts?
Claremont High School in Harrow.
In Harrow, all right.
In Harrow. We lived in Watford.
Right.
But I, went to school in Harrow.
So what was your, I mean, obviously you had your primary education there, and then you came to have your secondary.
Yeah.
You must have found a difference between the style of education there and the style of education here?
Yeah, very, because in Dar es Salaam, as you would know, the relationship, which I found very, very strange to begin with, between the teacher and the student.
Okay.
It's very different to when we came here, where it's a lot more informal. There,
That's
very
right.
scared of your teacher, and the
and
discipline.
You stand up and you
exactly,
speak,
exactly. But here, it was a lot more casual and.
Are you by nature a very freestyle thinker, or just as a matter of interest?
Yeah. In what way?
Well, the reason why I ask you this is because you chose art.
Yeah.
And people who are artistic are freer thinker. I mean, that's the impression I get.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, are you sort of, you tend to sort of, you allow your imagination to go and...
yeah, that is correct. But it's also just trying to express in a way that is more visual rather than, like my father gives lectures and gives, does his expression through
words.
Yeah. I like to express myself through pictures.
Okay.
That's it. I think what I also like is for me to create art that allows you, the viewer, to have an input into it.
Okay.
Because the kind of art that I create are more abstract, which allows for interpretation, so that me as an artist and you as a recipient of that art have a connection. So it's not just what I put into my art, but what you get out of it. And I think for me, that's really quite important.
Now this is very, very interesting concept that that you brought up. I mean, I didn't realize that how important this is, because you create a piece and then you allow the viewer to add on to that and make your own journey then.
Exactly.
And so you start off with a theme, and then you say, no, okay, now I'm going to allow the viewer to just go beyond that and create his or her own sort of piece in her own imagination.
Yeah. So your own interpretation.
That's right.
Of the piece, because if I,
but you start off the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, for instance, a lot of my work is to do with the Kaaba.
Right.
So the idea of Hajj, the idea of circumambulation, the tawaf, is really, really important to me.
Now we'll come to that, Siddiqa bhai, because I think these are very important concepts that you can talk about, or we'll talk about. But I want to ask you now, you then pursued art, right?
Yeah.
So why did you choose art? I mean, the family influenced you into that, or you yourself said, no, this is what I am now.
Yeah.
This is what I like, and this is what I'm going to do. Is that how it was?
Well, I'll tell you a story.
Right. No,
okay.
Please. Yeah.
Of not a story, but kind of what led me to do art. I've always been interested, from when I was young, interested in drawing and painting, and children are.
Right. Yeah,
all children are interested in art. When I went to school, when I went to secondary school especially, your parents then start to guide you and to sort of say that, it'll be good if you did this or did that or whatever. My parents always would have loved me to be a pharmacist, a doctor, an accountant.
Right.
The Khoja.
That's right. Those three main ones.
Yeah, the Khoja, routes that we take.
Mainly,
mainly.
It's changing now,
Yeah. And the same thing with my parents. So I did try to do all that, to please my parents and obviously to take their guidance. But I was always kind of reverting to art because it's something that I found really, really interesting. And although, even when I was at school and so on, I did a portrait of my grandfather. There were very strange colors, green and blue and all sorts of things. But I've always really, really enjoyed it.
Right.
So, I kind of just went on and on to my dad especially, please let me do art, because it's
and he agreed?
At first he found it a very strange decision, why would you want to do art? Because, remember I did art, let's say, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, deciding to go into this career. It was
unheard of at that time, wasn't it?
Completely unheard of. Yeah, I don't think there were any Khojas at that time who were doing art in a sense that I'm going to do this as a career.
Well, also there was perhaps whether there was a religious acceptance of it.
There wasn't. There wasn't. And obviously, my dad was worried, going to art school, you're going
Where will you end up?
you're going to come out and be a punk or something like that, because
at that
this
time
is a preconceived,
that's right,
yeah, exactly.
You remember that?
I do,
Yeah.
I do. But I had once I decided that that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
I had the full support of my parents.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
grateful for that.
That's right. So the motivation was there innately as well. That this is something that you want, that you felt good about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you, generally speaking, when you exhibit your pieces, what type of people actually get interested? Is it just a Muslim audience, non-Muslim audience, rich people, poor people? What sort of people get interested in your piece of work?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, we have a lot of different denominations of Muslims who come, as well as non-Muslims who come to see exhibitions in general, and certainly my exhibitions. I find that that's the way that it has happened.
All right.
In fact, I sold one of the diversity pieces to, this was when I had an exhibition in Wembley, to someone who lived next to a vicarage. So a Christian guy who wanted to have it in his home. And I asked him, what it is about the art that was interesting to him. And he said that, we share the same spiritual grounding, the Muslims, the Christians,
so it's interesting,
and the Jews.
It's interesting because the concepts are all universal. So you attract varieties of people into this art of yours. But although universal, but Islamically universal. So even the concepts are. Now, let's talk about diversity.
Yeah.
Diversity inspires your world, it appears to us. Talk to us about how you incorporate this concept of diversity and make it shine through your work.
So diversity is important because, the whole world is diverse.
Yes.
Allah created us in all shapes, and He intended for us to be different, but to connect. So for me, that's a really, really important concept. And you can see this when we go to Hajj. You see all shapes of people, all colors of people. So, if you think about one of the tenets of Islam is that we go to Hajj. And He didn't say when the Khojas go to Hajj, or when the Sunnis go to Hajj, or when the Shia goes to Hajj. It is all Muslims united. And so I tried to create that in the most simplistic way, and that is a single brush stroke is us, is the humanity. And there's all sorts of colors, all dancing on the same canvas, all chanting the same God's name. So it is such a simple idea, but it's so powerful.
So beautifully put as well.
It's so powerful, so that, it's something that, alhamdulillah, has really caught people's attention.
No, it's nicely put, actually. And what got my attention, your heading of the painting was "Make Your Mark."
Yeah.
Now imagine, in the diverse world, everyone should make their own mark.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly.
So you're asking them, make your mark. Although it's a diverse world, this is all the opportunities that you have in this world, of diverse world.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is our duty to come into this world and to make our mark.
That's
not
right.
just to come and flitter through life without actually leaving a legacy. So making your mark is so important. Even Islamically, what is it that we're going to leave behind? It's not just that we've been here for 60, 70, 80, 90 years and then we've left. What's the point? Really, we should have made our mark, whatever that may be. But we need to make our mark that tomorrow our footprints are still here.
Upon which humanity then progresses further.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, very interesting. Now, you traveled to Florence, Italy, to collect the Leonardo da Vinci Universal Artist Award and gave a speech. What was the speech about? First of all, talk to us about that you went to Florence to get, what was the award for? Which piece was that?
Diversity again.
Oh, so for diversity you went
For
to
diversity.
Florence. Okay, and then you gave
yeah.
a speech. Is
Yeah.
this the speech what you just related about, or what did you speak? Yeah.
The thing is, for those who know the art world, Florence is really, I would say, really important in the Renaissance movement of art and so on. So
Right.
if you're talking about really ancient European art, Italy, Florence, all these areas are rich in that history of art. Okay? For me, this award was really important, is really important, because it is the Leonardo da Vinci Award. Leonardo da Vinci is a master in the art world. To be awarded for my work, which is Islamic art, which is obviously Islamic art,
Very obvious.
which
yeah.
is, you know, it is really, really important. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to go there, receive the award, and to talk about the art, and to say that this square within this piece is really the center of where we actually face
So
5 times a day.
Can we show it to the audience, that particular
Absolutely.
piece?
Yeah.
Have a look at that, and you can now talk to us about
Yeah.
that piece.
Yeah. So it is, like I mentioned before,
Hmm.
you've got the Kaaba in the middle,
Right,
and then you've got a multitude of colors.
right.
Each one
Right.
is representing us,
Okay. Right.
you know. So, and make your mark is that mark on that canvas is us.
Right.
We've arrived, we met her, and we're there.
So God has given you all this potential.
Yeah.
Make your mark.
Make
now.
your mark.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautifully connected. Okay. So now I wanted to ask you, following that, I mean, you explained very well about the Renaissance period and Venice, the importance of Venice. Do you feel that the Islamic influence or the Islamic art influence is captured within their mindset, or it isn't? I mean, I don't know. Do you have a view on that? Or?
I think there are a few people now who are creating works, who are kind of creating some sort of influence within European art. I haven't put it in there, but one of the things is that diversity has been iconic in terms of
Yes,
my work.
That's right, yeah.
Diversity is in a book that speaks about the influences of Islamic architecture, art, knickknacks, and so on, that is influencing European art.
Right,
Yeah?
right.
So we are kind of making some headway
Right.
into influencing.
But historically as well, would they? Would you? Would
I
they?
haven't. I
You
haven't. I
right.
do not think that we, you know, we had a golden age where
Yeah.
we created and we invented and we traveled and we
Yeah.
found worlds.
Right.
But unfortunately, that golden age then was taken over by other things.
Yes, and that's historically there is a.
So unfortunately, we should have continued more.
Yeah.
We are.
Somehow we stopped, didn't we?
We did. We did, and that's unfortunate.
I'm just wondering, I mean, some of these concepts that you are now bringing, I'm sure that some other artist may have brought it during that time, but it may not have been taken over when the Renaissance came. I mean, I'm just thinking aloud, basically. I don't have any evidences for that. Now, you traveled, I believe you received recognition in the United Kingdom, winning the prestigious Alhambra award presented by the Mayor of London, I think Siddiqa Khan. Was this for the virtual reality installation called Noor? Explain.
So Noor is a project, it's a virtual reality project, because I'm always trying to explore different ways of showing the art.
Right.
Okay, so this was a virtual reality project. So you've got the Kaaba in the middle.
Right.
Okay, and then you've got the map coordinates, the Google coordinates.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So that is representative of where we all come from. So when we're going to Hajj, for instance, it's not just people from the subcontinents
Right.
who go to Hajj, or people from Europe. You know, people from Africa, from Asia, from people who go to Hajj are come from as diverse places as they are black and they're white. They've got blonde hair. They're blue-eyed. They're as dark or as fair. So that was a way for me to show through map coordinates. So you've got the map coordinates, the Google coordinates.
Yes, yeah.
So basically, you put on the virtual reality goggles,
Right.
and then you stand in front of it,
Right.
in front of the Kaaba,
Yeah.
piece. And as you turn, you will see the map coordinates just zooming in and out towards the Kaaba. So it's a different way
Right. So
of showing.
and the word Noor, how does that sort of relate then?
That is from the Kaaba.
The
I
Noor
believe
from the Kaaba.
I believe there's extremely positive energies, Noor, emanating from around the Kaaba.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Now you have a studio, a home studio,
Yes.
your own. Is this where you get inspiration?
I tell you one thing, I feel sorry for my family because I paint everywhere. I do have dedicated space for my studio,
Right.
but my mum and dad lived with me. My
Okay.
mother sadly passed away, but
just recently. Yeah.
just recently, yeah. So I love to spend time with them. So when they're sitting down, I bring my easel and I paint. So I paint in the kitchen. My studio is my home. I paint in the kitchen. I paint in the lounge. I paint everywhere. I do have dedicated space,
Right.
but
how?
I paint everywhere.
Where do you get the inspiration from then? I mean, did you sort of find a dedicated time and said, I'm going to now think about it and see if I get inspiration? Or you get inspiration suddenly and there's no set time
No.
for inspiration?
No. It's also about being able to see. You might see a crack on the floor. And if you can look with your heart, not with your eyes necessarily, you'll see something beautiful in that. And you can create something out of that.
Okay, so and then you express it in artistic form.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about just seeing the beauty around us.
Right. Okay. No, I just find it interesting. I mean, the other thing is that you've got your house is a studio.
My house is a studio. It's for me, my art is not apart from my life. It is part of my life.
Do you connect sort of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you have that sort of like the Quranic words that you may have read, and then when you look at something and you sort of connect it and then express it in the artistic form? Is that how it is?
Indeed. And a series that I did, or I'm continuing to do, it's all about Shahada. It's all about La ilaha illallah. Right. So I have created a number of works where you've got the paintings,
right,
and then on top of it, I've written thousands of times La ilaha illallah, and it almost creates like the final layer. Because for us, there is not a bigger statement that we can make, the more important statement that we can make than La ilaha illallah, and that is the final layer within the painting.
Let's talk about this work of yours. You have recently completed the project Unity for Manchester.
Yeah.
What this is all about then?
So not recently, there was in Manchester there was bombing. So I created the Manchester, the symbol for Manchester is a bee. So that's the Manchester
A bee.
Yeah.
Right.
So the bee
Madhumaki.
is yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. So I always feel that as Muslims, whether we're artists, whether we're doctors, whatever, we need to participate within wider communities, within our wider life.
Right.
Okay? And we need to be present. We need to have a stake in the wider community. We cannot be just insular. We need to show that we are there and we matter. Okay? So when something like that has happened, I created a piece and I said, right, okay.
This is in the wake of bombing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the wake of bombing. I did the same thing when the 7/7, I think it was the 7th of July,
Right.
a piece called Sabr.
Right.
Now that's a very, very interesting piece for me.
We'll come to that.
Okay.
Yeah, in a minute. But
Yeah.
So the idea here was to unite. In this event which was dividing the communities.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you wanted to bring
I
out.
didn't want them to think a them and an us.
No.
In grief, we all grieve.
Right.
And we just, it was important for me to show that, I completely understand no human loss is good.
Right.
Whoever that person may be.
So here humanity matters. Our humanness matters.
Absolutely.
That connection that Allah consciously gives us, that with consciousness you connect with another consciousness, that matters. And your painting actually expresses that unity.
If I can just say something, it's important that how people see us.
Yeah.
That we, the preconceived ideas that people have of what Muslims are like is not what we're like. I'll give you an example. One day, I remember there was an old lady and she was about to cross the road and she had shopping bags. She was an old lady. So I went to help her to cross the road. I'm visibly Muslim because of my hijab. I'm visibly Muslim. She said to me, I thought you Muslims were not nice people.
Right.
But you helped me. Yeah? So whatever it is that we do, we are representative of our deen.
And our faith, yes.
And of our faith.
Yes.
So for us to show that, this is what we're like is important. And so the same thing when I'm creating works that will raise money, because ultimately these pieces are either exhibited, and this one here, this piece, the Manchester Bee piece, is, I think, in the town hall, so people can go and see that, look, this has been created by a Muslim lady who has shared that,
And this is how you change the perception as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, we are all one humanity.
Exactly.
Concern for each other is there.
Yeah.
And one death, wherever, it matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you did a project also, We Are Them, They Are Us. What a nice heading.
Yeah.
We are them, they are us.
Yeah.
It expresses exactly
Exactly.
what you were saying.
Yeah.
Share with us your thoughts on that. And I
So
think
this
this
is
is
again the
related
same
to same thing, but it happened where?
It happened in
New Zealand,
New
wasn't it?
Zealand,
Yeah.
exactly. It happened in New Zealand, and so I created this piece.
Yeah.
So they have a bird
Right.
as a symbol.
Yeah.
I can't recall the name. There's a particular bird as their symbol. So I created a piece
Yeah.
which was donated to the New Zealand, and it was auctioned, and money was raised for victims of those bombings.
And how was it received then?
Amazing,
Really?
amazing. They videoed it and they sent, it
They were
was
excited
really
about
very,
it.
very well
Yeah.
received.
No, but you say something here which I want to relate
Of course.
because I think it's very important. Siddiqa writes, recently we have witnessed the human capacity to love, the capacity to show mercy, and the capacity to act with integrity in the face of mindless hate and aggression. The leaders and the people of New Zealand have been an outstanding example of real solidarity. And I think this is what you are expressing
Exactly.
in this particular piece of...
Indeed, yeah.
Wonderful. Now, there's also another project, but this time it's the Represented series. Now, obviously, what inspired to do this work then?
So I was actually working, I was painting and listening to the radio, and I heard Riz Ahmed's speech.
So who is Riz Ahmed?
Riz Ahmed is I think a Hollywood actor. He's an actor.
Right, okay.
And he spoke, he talked about being represented, that we as Muslims, we need to be represented. And
our voice must be heard.
Our voice must be heard. And it very much reminded me of the diversity series.
Right, right.
So diversity, we must make our mark. In this case, we must be represented. So I created a couple of paintings actually, which was then one of the paintings was bought by Riz Ahmed's wife, and so it's actually in his home.
In this particular work that you have done, you have a message to also give, and I think I'm going to read this out because it's such an important message. Siddiqa's message here to everyone, Muslim or non-Muslim, by way of this painting, is to reclaim identity.
Yes.
Every person has the power to define their own identity and to write their own narrative. Each person is a representation of their own beliefs. In Siddiqa's case, she wishes to represent Islam as a beacon of hope, peace, love, and unity in the world. What a beautiful expression of how you are putting your work across to humanity. Siddiqa bhai, that's really, really powerful words. Very good. Now, other concepts that you have brought up in your painting is the concept of sabr.
Yeah.
Now, how did that came about? Yeah.
So again, this is a painting that I did in the wake of the 7/7 bombings.
All right.
Whenever atrocities are committed, whenever anything happens like that in the world, I like to express it in painting. Now, the reason sabr.
Right.
I felt very, very strongly because watching TV and so on after everything had happened.
Putting blame on all the Muslims.
On all the Muslims. Yeah. And I felt that it was time for us to step back and have sabr and just have patience and believe in the wisdom of God and believe that, and also have the confidence in knowing that this is not done by Muslims. This is not representative of Islam. So the idea of sabr is for us to step back and reclaim and say that this is we should have sabr and realize that this is not done by us. This is not done by Muslims. This is not what Islam preaches. In this painting, we see kind of Islamic architecture, representative of Islam, and sort of various. We've got some calligraphy within it, and just nestled within all this Islamic architecture and so on is the Big Ben, representative of here. So that we as Muslims, we did not do this. It is a message for us, especially as Muslim, to stop trying to justify that. No, we're not like this.
We don't need to justify.
We don't need to justify. We just be. That's it.
And the whole notion of sabr here, you obviously you are relating it to the very famous ayah, number 153 from Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, seek my help through patience and zikr.
Yeah.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those who are patient.
Exactly.
Now this is a very important understanding that we can derive from this particular ayah, that look, you have got to be patient, and if you are patient, then Allah is with you.
Exactly.
Do not react in a way that actually cause more fitna and all that.
Yeah,
so at this moment in time, as you say, hold back.
Hold back,
And
no
just
need to
justify and all that, and no need to react either.
Yeah, because
we don't have to prove anything.
Yeah, we've got to be confident enough to stand by and say that, no, you don't, even if you're asked, why are you asking me that?
Yeah,
what has it got to do with me?
Exactly, yeah. So this painting actually now is saying to the Muslims be patient.
Be patient.
Sabr.
He
And a
is
non-Muslim,
with you, with those who are patient. That's
right?
it.
A non-Muslim who is viewing this painting, now you can describe it to them that, look, this particular painting is for Muslims to be patient, and they don't have to justify everything. It wasn't done by them. It was done by a lunatic mind or something
exactly,
like that, right?
Exactly.
So finally, Siddiqa Bhai, what are you looking forward to now? But before you answer that, or any project that you have in mind or you've done or you want to exhibit, where have you sort of exhibited your work?
Yeah.
Can you sort of name some of the cities? So presumably you have exhibited in London?
Yes, so various places in London, Birmingham, Manchester, so within the UK, as well as a number of places, especially in the Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Jeddah, Riyadh.
Right.
But one that I'm so looking forward to is, Medina. It's a place that really, for me personally, gives me a lot of sukoon, a lot of peace.
So when is this going to happen?
That's going to be sort of where we're just finalizing dates, but it's going to be November onwards, inshallah.
Right.
Yeah, at the Medina Art Center, which is a governmental, beautiful
So they
gallery.
invited you to exhibit?
Yes,
and all
yes,
that?
alhamdulillah.
Oh, mashallah. So can we talk about one of your painting that you can, and we can
Yes, of
can
course.
we choose one?
Yeah. This painting called Pilgrim's Path is again an iteration of the diversity idea.
Pilgrim's Path.
Pilgrim's Path.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And it is using used postage stamps, just circumambulating around the Kaaba.
Postage stamps?
Postage stamps.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So the whole painting is made up of postage stamps. And for me, it's really important that there were used postage stamps. The reason being is that really for us to think behind each stamp is so much of that person. Where's that stamp come from? Is it a bill? Is it a letter from a father to a son? And so on. And that whole painting is about also where we all come from. What is our history? There's this stamps that are very, very old, stamps that are new. And also what's really important for us now, in an age where we hardly use stamps because we just emailing and so on. This piece really tells a really deep story.
But Siddiqa, you brought out so many concepts within that, I mean, just the postage stamp, the contemporaneous nature of the whole idea of stamp, a story behind the stamp, and then if you go beyond that, each one of us has got our own journey. Some of them have been introduced through the stamp, but each one of us have our own stamp.
Exactly.
We are one. We are our own stamp, basically.
Exactly.
And that particular journey, there is a hand behind your destiny, behind your journey, and that is the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the symbol is Kaaba. Am I right? There would be Kaaba.
So
then?
the Kaaba, even the Kaaba is made up of stamps. So the whole painting is just stamps.
Right, okay.
And it tells a story of geography,
right.
where we all come from.
But you then
history.
introduce the concept of Islam within it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
So Hajj, that's why pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage, the journey.
Yeah, the journey.
The journey, yeah.
MashaAllah, what a wonderful idea behind that painting.
Thank you.
So, anything you want to say about to the community now? You are an artist, but now you call yourself Islamic artist, and you're also graphics. You're also, I think
I started life as a graphic designer.
Graphic, and then but ended up as an Islamic artist.
Yes.
Now. So, if anyone wants to pursue art, what would you like to? What message would you like to give it to them, or her, or him?
Yeah. My message directly to our community is that, encourage your children to do art, whether they will take this on as a career or not. Just do encourage them to do art. And not only for our children, but also as adults. You know, I'll give you an example of my own personal family. My mother, you know, I used to do, you know, you get these coloring books. I used to do coloring with her, and it was so therapeutic.
Right.
I actually said to a past chair lady that, you know, because she asked me, you know, would you give us some advice? What should we do? Because I became friends with her. And I said, the one thing that you can do is the ladies sitting at the back, you know, gift them some color pencils and coloring books. It opens up the heart.
Right.
It's really beautiful.
So art actually is very therapeutic as well.
Very therapeutic.
Right.
Very
Can I ask you, Siddiqa, something that came up while you were giving this exhortation advice, that, you know, our community, there may be people who understand art or know how to view a painting, but I'm sure majority of them look at the painting and just see something, and then they've just seen it, but they haven't realized it, what it is. Is there some advice there for our community, seniors and adults and those who are not artistic by nature, to appreciate
everyone
painting?
is artistic by
to
nature.
Appreciate painting, huh?
I think everyone is artistic by nature, because you look at beautiful things,
but maybe and
you know you love it. So
yeah, so you're right. Actually, we are all artists, but we may not express it then, or we wouldn't know how to express it, perhaps. Yeah. But you have advice on that? How we should look at the painting?
Okay, look at it as if you're taking time off your everyday life,
right,
and look at whether it's a painting, whether it is a beautiful tree, nature, you know, painted by Allah, nature, that's a painting. That Allah created that, and it's like, you know, living painting. Look at anything beautiful that's created by Allah outside.
Right.
Look at a painting and just take time off to immerse yourself to be able to see it with your heart.
Right. So in fact, use your imagination now here.
Use your imagination. Yeah. Try to transport yourself into a space where you lose the mundane and you get into a different sphere.
Right.
Where you just take, it's almost like a meditation. You just take time to just
and
take
admire
time off,
admire the beauty of it. Yeah. Right.
Admire the beauty of it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Siddiqa. Well, I have to say that this was very interesting for me, and some of these expressions that you have used to depict your painting were very inspirational.
Thank you very much.
And some of the ideas like diversity, sabr, hope, nur, all this comes out as an expression. And you know, it ties in with your faith so intricately. And there is something beautiful. And you know, if we want to then produce artists in our community, we have words from the Qur'an which can be expressed.
Beautiful words.
Yeah, beautiful words which can be expressed so nicely and beautifully for everyone to appreciate. And it brings actually humanity together, which you have tried to do here. And every atrocity that has occurred where Muslims are being blamed, you have put across an idea which brings humanity together. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you
for coming along here and sharing your artistic experience and your journeys. MashaAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the time to...
Hassan, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure our community have appreciated it. Thank you very much, and Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.